Hello again, and welcome back to Mr. Mayor's Book Chats. I've got 5 new books down here at the library. Get right to it. The first one is called Land of the Cranes by Aida Salazar. And this is a story. It's a short one that is told in verse and has some pictures throughout, but sometimes it's kind of a hard book to read because of the subject matter. It's about a 9-year-old girl named Betita, and she knows she is a crane because her dad told her the story that even before her family fled to Los Angeles to seek refuge from the cartel wars in Mexico, the Aztecs came from a place called Aztlan, which is now the southwest U.S., called the Land of the Cranes. Well, they left Aztlan to establish their great city in what is modern-day Mexico City. And it was prophesied at that time that their people would one day return to live among the cranes in their promised land. And Papa tells Betita that they are cranes that have come home. Then one day, Betita's beloved father is arrested by Immigration Customs Enforcement, or ICE, and deported to Mexico. And Betita and her pregnant mother are left behind all alone. And soon they too are detained by ICE and must learn to survive in a family detention camp outside of Los Angeles. And this is just the darkest of places for Betita and her mother. It's cruel, it's inhumane, but Betita finds heart in her own poetry. She starts to write poems to her dad and the community that she and her mother find in the camp. And the voices of her fellow asylum seekers fly above the hatred that's keeping them in cages. But each day threatens to tear them apart. And each day, her mom is getting more and more pregnant. And Betita is worried about her mom and worried about the brother or sister that she's going to have. And you're constantly wondering, is Betita and her mom and her dad, are they ever going to be reunited again? Beautiful language in the story. Just a heart-wrenching story. So if you like kind of sad books or books about kind of bigger issues or novels in verse, check this one out. The next one is another very short one. This will take you maybe an hour and a half to read because, again, it's told in verse. I loved this book. I love this author, Jacqueline Woodson. It's about a young boy named ZJ. And for as long as ZJ can remember, his dad has been his hero and kind of everyone else's hero, because his dad is this kind of charming, talented pro football player. And he's this beloved to the neighborhood kid he played with, as to millions of adoring sports fans. But lately, his dad's having trouble remembering things and seems to be a lot more angry all the time. And ZJ's mom explains it's because of all the head injuries and because of all the hits that ZJ's dad has taken throughout the years playing football. And ZJ can understand that. You know, he's watched his dad, but it doesn't make that sting any less real when he's getting yelled at by his dad, who never really yelled before. And ZJ is seeing his dad kind of lose who he used to be. And again, it's just a great story of fathers and sons, of friendships, of ZJ trying to hold on to this hero of his dad as long as he possibly can. Next one is Dragon Hoops. And unlike Ever Before the Ever After, this is a longer book. It looks long, but it is a graphic novel, but a much long graphic novel. And it is the story of the author, Gene Luen Yang, who loves comic books. And he's written a few other graphic novels, and he actually just started writing a Superman serial comic book. And he loves action, big thrills, and the hero always wins. But Gene really doesn't get sports. Gene was a high school teacher. As a kid, his friends called him Stick because he was so skinny, and he's just never liked sports because he's never been good at it. But the school that he teaches at, he kind of comes across this story, and it's all about the varsity boys basketball team, the Dragons. They're having a phenomenal season that has been decades in the making. And each victory that they do brings them closer to their ultimate goal, the California State Championships. And once Gene gets to know these young men, these basketball players, and the coach and kind of their stories behind them, he's drawn into their story. And he's trying to figure out, I don't really like sports, but I love this. I love comics. And so how am I going to create this story? So he knows he has to follow this epic to its end. And what he doesn't know is that the season is not only going to change the dragons' lives, but his life as well. I really, really enjoyed this graphic novel. Next one is another book about basketball. It's called The Final Four. And Paul Volpone has written other sports books that you may have read if you like sports books. But this follows 4 players who are very different, but they all want to win. Malcolm wants to get to the NBA as soon as possible. Rocco, he is from Croatia, and he wants to make his country proud. Crispin kind of got into basketball because it got the girls, and he wants the girl of his dreams by playing basketball. And MJ just wants a chance. He wants to live up. He was named after Michael Jordan, and he wants a chance to prove that he can play like Michael Jordan. And March Madness is in full swing, and there's only 4 teams left in the NCAA tournament. And these four men have a chance to make a name for themselves. And it's told kind of in alternating chapters of the characters. And there's newspaper clippings and interviews and all kinds of things. Makes it very fun to read. And finally, the last book. This book is not very fun to read, but it's a fantastic book that needs to be read. But the subject matter is tough. It's called Fighting Words, and it's about 10-year-old Della, who has always had her older sister, Suki. When their mom went to prison for cooking meth, Della could count on her older sister, Suki. When their mom's boyfriend took them in, and it wasn't much better, Della had Suki to count on. And when that same boyfriend did something so awful they had to run away, Della had Suki. Suki has always been there for Della. But who's been protecting Suki? And, Della is a tough cookie. She tells it like it is. If somebody's messing with her at school, she is going to give it right back to them because that's all she knows. She has to stand up for herself because nobody else is going to. This novel explores sexual abuse, physical abuse. Like I said, it's tough and intense at times, but there is also some humor and some compassion. It's just the story of 2 sisters linked by love and trauma who must find their own voices to try to find a way to get back with each other and to stick with each other. Love this book. This is an important book that I think a lot of students are going to love. But like I said, it's a tough one to read. All right. Hope you can find one of these books to pique your interest. And I hope to see you soon down here at the library.